set tax rate 2016 as follows. Real estate, $69,885,084. Personal property tax, $25,408,682. For a total of $95,293. No, I'm sorry, thank you. $95,293,766. Tax rate of more or less 0.8877 per $100 of the assessed valuation. This time we'll open it up.
Is that higher than last year or lower?
I'm sorry?
Is that higher than last year or lower than last year?
I believe it's actually lower.
I don't know that for a fact. I haven't seen that. I didn't think he did the assessment. Is that lower assessment or higher assessment than last year? Is that lower or higher assessment?
Our assessment was actually lower.
No, your assessment was higher by $92,000, your total assessment.
Our assessed value, I think you look from finance,
You
94
said the assessment.
million, where last year was 95 something, low 95, 95.2 or something like that, so it actually went down. We got some credits for new construction, which it came off the initial, that's the adjusted value is 94. The baseline assessment was in the 95, but then we got the adjustment, which dropped it down to 94.
Well, this says 95,293,000.
That's pre-adjustment though.
Oh,
If you look on farther down, I think it's line 4, you'll see line 4 is 94 something. Oh, you don't have it there. That's in the formulation sheet. But you don't get those. Those are just the formulation sheet. But that's the adjusted, and that's what that rate is based on, the adjusted amount.
What about the tax rate? Is that different than last year? 8 cents?
It's higher by 0.77%, something like that. And that's just purely a mathematical calculation is all it is.
isn't that set by the state?
It is set by the state. When we get that sheet, all those values are already in there. All we really do is go through, calculate the math, see if it's right. So those are the values calculated at the state level.
The only thing I saw when, you tried to explain it to me and you gave me all the copies and stuff, the only thing I really saw that I could make much sense out of is the cost of living,
The index, cost of it, the index cost.
Right, cost of living. And I don't know why it doesn't include, well, the whole thing is that that 8877 is the maximum amount we can charge according to the state.
Yes.
Other municipalities have foregone and paid less.
You're talking about retaining the previous year's tax levy?
I don't have the other cities' thing, just their proposal that was in the paper, okay? Comparing our 8877 proposed rate and theirs, or the others, are their proposed rates that were in the city were, Peabody was 88.8877, Crystal City was 7841 per 100, Festus is 6823 per 100. So they have foregone keeping the maximum sometime along the way, and that's why they're lower than we are, right?
Now, the maximum is set per city. That's the max. That could be the maximum that those cities can charge. Every city is different based off their assessed valuation. So they have higher assessed valuation than the city of Peabody has. So when they're doing their calculation, it can be a much lower tax. Now you can choose to not put an increase in and do a lower amount than the maximum, but the maximum isn't the same for everybody. The maximum all depends on what your assessed valuation is.
Well, then, how does, Crystal City that has, maybe I don't have the adjusted, value, as appraised value, but they have $76 million appraisal, okay? And they're only charging 78. That's why I tried to talk with Mr. Dickey. I could not come up with why it was different other than the cost of living. If the cost of living is the only thing that's there, why wouldn't it be the same for the other cities?
Okay, what happens there is whatever their assessed valuation is, whatever they start out with a tax levy, or whatever their total tax amount, you can only increase it by that cost of living. That's the max that you can raise it. So if they ever chose not to raise it, and then they went a couple of years down the road, you can't just recapture that. Then you're stuck on adding it back at the maximum amount of increase that you can have, and that's all gets determined if your assessed valuation goes up or down. So there's a lot of different factors that apply into that when you go down those worksheets. If we had all those worksheets for all those different cities and took a look at them to see how it was calculating, then we'd have some kind of idea. But there's several things that go into play there. You know, what did they do last year? What was their rate last year? What was the cost of living increase? There's a lot of different things.
The cost of living would be the same.
It would be the same everywhere, but all those factors go into play when you're looking at each of those cities individual. The city of Farmington, their tax rate is like 62 cents. They chose, but they have a really high assessed evaluation. And they did choose a few years ago to not keep part of their, not to increase it, but then they have, they've done both, throughout the years. But there's a lot of factors that go into that.
Isn't one of the major factors the economic development, such as Farmington? They have major growth, so that helps to alleviate that ability there.
Yeah, if you're doing your budget, and you're looking at what revenue you have coming in, and you have a lot of sales tax money and other revenue sources, you can then choose to not have to take as much in real estate.
But it's not part of the
property.
calculation.
But your budget, no, it's not part of the calculation. Your budget has nothing to do with what you can set it at. But you can use your budget to determine if you want to have a lower rate than what you're allowed.
Because I just ran some numbers, okay? And on a $200,000 house in Peebly, if the rates were $17.75. For Festus, it's $13.64. So for the privilege of living in Peebly, I paid $410.80 more than if I lived this same house was in Peebly. In Festus. I mean, it's a cost of living. First of all, the city gets additional money when they reappraise the value of the houses, and that went up quite a bit by quite a few people last year. We've added many homes, at least 10 to 15 homes in our subdivision that are probably all over 200,000. So you got close to $3 million in there. Doesn't appear in the report. The report only comes up with $1 million something. But I know you've got to do 2 years or something like that. But just logically speaking, why, the city is going to be getting more money because of the additional taxes. Why do we have to accept to pay this additional rate?
When you said the $200,000, you're saying that's what the tax is going to be put on? Or is that you're saying
$200,000 house.
After you do the, because it's
Divide
not
by 100.
on real estate, I think I'm right here. On real estate, isn't it a percentage of your assessed valuation, a percentage of the value of your house becomes your assessed valuation? It's 19%. So you have a $2,000 fair market house. You take 19% of that, then divide that by 100, and then take that times your rate. You're saying that amount would be $400 and some dollars?
Okay.
He's saying
I got it.
$410 more
Probably,
than Festus.
what you're saying is that a $200,000 assessment, the figures that come out here aren't the figures of the,
Isn't the cost
the
of your house?
19,000 had been caused for.
Yeah, that 19% would be in your assessed value, would be in there, but that doesn't, if that $200,000 home, you'd be assessed on $40,000. So you would take 40,000, let's say, I'm just rounding here.
Yeah.
So you take $40,000 divided by 100, you know, so then you have 400, you take that times what the tax rate is there, and that's how much your real estate taxes. $337. That's what your real estate taxes would be.
Okay, why do I get, okay, now, when I get my bill and it's 3,100, okay? And now, Peabody is only part of it, I realize that, okay? But, the 17, I mean, most of it is Peabody or school district, one or the other. So that's why I thought the 17 was
Well,
a
you
valid
have
figure.
several different tax entities there. I'm sure you probably have a fire district, and you have an ambulance, you have fire districts here, the ambulance district, you have the school district, you have the city, road and bridge possibly, county road and bridge.
Special district.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of different entities that are on this.
Jefferson County Health Department.
But so I can't tell you what those breakouts are. I don't know those.
Okay, but we can, if we wanted to show good faith, and because by the, whatever Festus had, my figures are wrong because I didn't figure the thing right? I mean, my figures are wrong because I didn't include the 19%.
Right, it's not the full amount. Yeah.
Okay.
But if it was,
But the rates for Festus and here are still, that comparison is still good.
Yes,
Okay.
your rate.
That's what I was trying to get at. I mean,
Yes.
You know, they have a fire department, and so ours would even be less than that because we pay an additional one, okay? We pay for a separate tax, but Festus probably doesn't because they have a fire department there. I mean, they had on their thing, they had it listed, you know, 230,000 for the fire. So their rates, their fire is included. Our rate is higher, but it doesn't have the fire department.
Again, I think unless you could look at those assessed valuations, I mean, again, it's hard to say apples to apples. I mean, you almost have to see it all, sit down there and see what last year was and almost look at each of those cities individually to know how it was calculated.
But the only thing I have is what was in the paper and what I got from Peabody's, you know, Peabody.
Right, I understand.
But they had, you know, the figures and the assessed values and, you know, listed in ours here, not the other.
And like I said, the budget and where like the mayor stated, wherever money's coming in from and you're looking at it, you know, what do you need to come in, and you determine where do we need to have to decide, am I going to increase it the full amount? What that calculation does is say, this is the max. You can go anywhere down from the max and set your rate. But what happens is if you don't do that, to get that back will take like a really long time. Unless your assessed valuation, even if it went up, it would make it even worse. It would take you a while to get those funds back whenever you choose not to roll it forward. I'm not saying that's the reason to do it, but it does take some time to get those funds back, just because you can only raise it by the cost of living increase.
This discussion came up a couple years ago.
Right.
And there was some research done and some, back and forth with other cities. And some of the other cities do have lowers because of the fact that they have large quantities of sales tax coming in, so that it was an easier.
You just said that it doesn't, sales tax did not
Let me
include
finish.
it.
Let me finish.
Yeah, I agree with you, sales tax is in the budget, this is part of the budget,
But
those two things.
I'm not saying that it's a calculation of this. What I am saying to you is that a few years ago, we did some research on this whenever a previous board decided not to do the increase. And some of the other cities have in the past chose to not do the entire amount or do half of the amount or not do it at all. Honestly, I don't think any city ever chose not to do it at all. but didn't do the full amount, because when they look at their budget, they help to alleviate some of the costs to the residents because they have sales tax coming in to compensate those dollar amounts. We here at Peter do not have the sales tax like Festus and Crystal City do to alleviate the cost to the residents. Unfortunately, I think if we did have some economic development here and some growth and we had more sales tax coming in, then we could take a stance to not put this on the back of the residents. I completely agree.
Maybe if our sales tax, if our taxes were lower, maybe more companies would come in.
Our sales tax is low compared to some of the others. We have to get the people in here to get some of the sales tax going so that we don't have to put it on the backs of the residents. At this point in time, where our budget comes in and the income comes in, unfortunately, it does fall to us as residents to pick up the slack of not having the businesses here. Does
Well,
anybody, I mean,
Well, I
you
guess
understand what I'm saying?
We don't have Walmart.
What about the BOA revolving? There's two ways to approach the budget.
Sure.
Okay, there's cutting. We've never talked about cutting anything. Okay, we've never tried to come together. I mean, before we always go, every time we go, we went, okay, the maximum on the utility tax. We went to maximum on, we're going to maximum on this. Where does it stop? I mean, you know, like, why don't we try to throw this away and try to save the amount of money we get from something that we could cut that we don't need?
I would say at budget time, then make some proposals of some things that you think that this city can do without, the residents can do without, then we can alleviate that tax.
I mean, I just, the numbers, I think, this increase will generate the city $27,000, is that right?
I did not calculate.
Okay, what I took that was from the figures, okay, last year was, maximum money you could get was $810,630, and this would be $838,535, so the difference is $27.93. Now, not much money. You're going to tell me there's not much money for the citizens to pay, but it's, when I go to a car dealer and they say you're $500 apart, and the car dealer tells me, oh, it's only, well, that works both ways. So that's why I'm definitely not in favor. I want to go with what we've got, and come up with a way of cutting it on the other. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Anybody else? Residents? If nobody else that wants to talk about the.
I think we got a gentleman there for a second. You talked about a lot of things that I had on my list to talk about today. Just being a concerned citizen, my point is, we get beat up with taxes all the time. We're always getting taxes levied upon us. Most of us are sick and tired of getting taxes levied upon us. I understand the economic development part of it. The others have things we don't have. Not our fault. We just need to get it in here. But the thing about it is, I'm not for it. I'm usually not for any taxes. We pay a tremendous amount of property taxes and real estate taxes here in Ely. So I would vote no. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, well, at this time, we ran over on this hearing, so we're gonna go ahead and move forward on to the next public hearing. All right, the purpose of this hearing, Stephen Boyles is requesting a special use permit to allow him to operate a trailer storage parking lot at 8773 Commercial Boulevard in a B2 district. For those of you that are not familiar with that address, it is the old flea market. And to my understanding, Mr. Demas stating withdrew his public hearing.
A couple things real quick. First of all, I noticed at the planning and zoning meeting, it did not happen because it didn't have a quorum, and there was a discussion about, supposed to have a public hearing last planning and zoning, and that's been moved to the next planning and zoning meeting. This public hearing was planned and scheduled at the same time as the public hearing for planning and zoning. So it was advertised in the paper, we decided to have it, and the citizens will have 2 opportunities to express their concerns or any comments about this issue. So this meeting, and also at the planning and zoning meeting, there'll be another opportunity to express those concerns then. Second thing is that the second item on this, the person withdrew the application, so that's no longer a hearing issue or a hearing item.
Okay, so did everyone understand that? Okay, so basically, the second portion of this hearing will be removed. He withdrew it. And then back to Mr. Boyles, since this is not going to be an official public hearing for Mr. Boyles, it will also be done, with the public hearing, with the planning and zoning, so we'll have 2. Since the planning and zoning meeting was canceled, okay? So this will take the time to go ahead and go through this, and then we'll also have a secondary, all right? So at this time, I'll open the floor for the Stephen Boyles, B2 District at 8773. Any questions?
Stephanie, or maybe this is Dickie. So if they have another PMZ being the 5th of October, I think it's whatever it is, will there be another hearing
Correct.
after that, another one after that?
Not for the board, there won't be.
Your mic ain't working.
Your mic's not working.
Can turn on.
Should be on.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay. The Board of Aldermen will not have another public hearing meeting. Again, this will serve as that public hearing meeting. There will be another opportunity later at the planning and zoning meeting for that board to consider, bring a recommendation forward.
I don't know about the rest of the board, but I would prefer to have a secondary public hearing after the PMZ.
Why?
Because I think the board should also be involved in it. I think yes, we can go to the PMZ meeting, however, I think that it should still come forward to the board. Give the residents the opportunity also to have a public hearing.
I mean, usually when it's 15, 20 minutes, once you get, I don't see a problem.
To make the ultimate decision anyway, it's only a recommendation. And we're having a hearing tonight, people are here, I see some people here.
I just say, I think that we should have another public hearing. We can still have it, you can have your PMZ meeting, and then the night that we're going to make vote on it, I think we should have a public hearing prior to that.
Okay.
I mean, okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so. We'll have a secondary public hearing the night of, prior to taking the votes.
I think you will have a better understanding of what's going on there, because at the P and Z, it was not explained exactly what he was going to do there either, so that.
It wasn't explained at all.
No, that's.
We had no meeting.
We don't read, but in even the paperwork, it wasn't really explained.
Is Mr. Boyles here or a representative? Okay. Questions, comments, residents, Mrs. Vaughn?
Yeah,
Could you come up to the microphone just so they have it all recorded?
like Steve just said, nothing was addressed on it because we didn't have a meeting. Is there something here that, as a board, you can kind of enlighten us a little bit now? Do you know any particular?
The only thing I know is, what I heard is, he wants to park tractor trailers, lease out spaces, I guess, up on the old flea market. And,
What part of it?
well, the one part is owned by the bank, he doesn't own the whole thing, the part with the grass, and maybe John can tell me.
He told me the north end is.
The north end is owned by the Bank of Washington yet. So it would be more the part he owns, and more toward where John and them live up there. It would be more towards the property, mine and yours.
And more to the north end towards Dunn's.
Yes, yeah, but not, but I think he has, where else has a fence up right there now?
Wherever the orange fence is.
Yes.
There's 2 different sections.
Yeah, the one section close to Dunn is, I've been told it's owned by the Bank of Washington yet.
And that's not where he's wanting to put it, he's wanting to put it on the lower end?
Yeah.
So the portion where the ball place is, that's what Mr. Boyles owns.
Anywhere from the orange fence south, he owns.
On the lower end of it?
Yeah.
Not the upper end?
Right.
Okay, well, since there's really no input from him. I mean, I did talk to him after the P and Z meeting that was canceled last time. And I brought up a couple items to him, one being, I asked if they was gonna pave or asphalt, gravel. Basically, no, but I mean, he was in a situation, I guess, he really didn't have the answer, you know. I asked him if there was fencing going up, he didn't know. I asked him what the hours of operation were going to be, he didn't know. Now, we need to take into consideration, you know, across the street from there, that's not zone commercial. And we still have a lot of senior citizens on that street. And they do not need tractor trailers coming in at all hours of the night with the noise and whatever else it may bring. If they do decide to asphalt or pave, then there's gonna have to be an issue addressed with the water runoff, because right now it's bad anyway. They finally got the ditch cleaned out, which that helps some, but even the road itself, the existing road, is slanted the wrong way of what it really needs to be. I know some of you will not have to put up with what goes on that road. Stephanie will. I will. Don, as a landowner down there, will.
John?
Pardon me?
Outlaw.
Oh, well, yeah, no, forgot about him. But, anyway, if you guys really take this into consideration, which I know you probably don't have all the facts right now, if it goes far enough that you put this through, maybe you might consider zoning both sides of that road down there as commercial. I mean, I don't know. That's just as far as what it would do to property values. If it goes in down on that lower section, the in and out there, is that gonna be up at the drive-in entrance, or are they gonna come out on Old State Road?
We have no clue. Just as you said, Steve said he didn't know either. We don't know either because we wanted to ask him questions about that.
So nobody knows anything.
Because I'm the only one proposal.
Okay. Well, I would hope that when it comes actually down to it, you guys really take into consideration, because to me, I looked at the tractor trailers coming there. I was kind of having a fit when I thought it was going to be storage sheds. But when I found out it was going to be actual tractor trailers coming in and being a transport facility where they would drop and pick up loads, that makes it a whole different ballgame. And this is not East St. Louis, it's needed on our roads, in our housing areas.
You know, I'd like to know I would like to have the police, be a lane zone, because I think there's other issues besides the noise, is if they leave trailers are full of stuff, being broken into theft, if they don't have fences. Actually, you know, you leave trailers tractable all night, you've got oil, diesel fuel spewing from, I don't care how much equipment you have, you still, that gets in groundwater. Other issues with criminal, other activities that sometimes they have in truck stops. So,
Blizzards?
Well, I still think that, I realize that, I guess, Mr. Boyles isn't gonna make a killing off of this, but, the last time that the, ball place went into business there, we at the board said that if there was any more development coming in, that he should consider, what he's gonna do for asphalting and that, so. I mean, you know, the road going into the flea market property is shape. In fact, it's almost a gravel road. That's, to me, is all part of this business. I mean,
If it would even go in, we're talking a lot of leaks going back and forth.
right, and what is the benefit for the city?
I have no
What
idea.
what benefit do we get? Is it a $40 business license and having the police up there? A lot? Not saying it is a possibility. Are we expending resources that we don't need to fee for $40.
Well, and that's why in planning and zoning, everybody needs to come there and ask the questions.
Yeah.
And that's why, as the mayor said, is we would have another public meeting so we can discuss that and everything else.
Well, I'm not speaking Norman, I'm just speaking as a landowner in that area and a citizen people, and I'm just sitting and be up here.
And that's why I say is, we don't know what all these questions everybody's throwing out right now. We don't know. We don't know the hours, we don't know what it's gonna do, or whatever. We have no clue.
Those are good questions for both, so that we're aware of what we need to do at the planning and zoning meeting. I mean, it's definitely questions that need to be addressed. Mr. Nalba?
Thank you.
We might consider next time giving a little bit more time.
Mayor, board, I live back in right now, I sit right back there behind that place, I see the traffic, I see what's going on. When the Volcom place went in, I was in office that time, and I told your city code enforcement that there's a law on the books. It's 240, I think, C3 or something like that. It says after a business has went defunct after 6 months, that they have to adhere to every code. And then the city code enforcement officer came in and said, no, that's not true, that they were grandfathered in. So they didn't have to asphalt all that up there. And the same thing would apply to Mr. Boyle's, if I remember correctly, if I can look it up in the code. But it says it's been after 6 months, and besides that, a flea market was not even allowed in that zone. So that means, basically, I'm not an attorney, I'm just speaking off the top of my head from memory. That means if Mr. Boyles is going to put a business in there, another one, but I think it says in the sub part of it that he can't put a second business in there, he can't subdivide on a regular place of property, put that in. That would be up to your city administrator to figure it out. But the thing is, your code says it all has to be paid. It doesn't say how, it can be concrete, it can be asphalt, it can be block, but it's got to be paid. So I leave it in your hands with that, you know, the noise is going to be there, that's the reason the Emory didn't go in, the noise, the trucks come in, and they call that. So that's a decision you all have to make. Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
I'd like to just make a quick statement. I believe that we wouldn't even be in this discussion. I don't even think this would be going to P&Z or anything if this gentleman came in here and asked what he had to do. If code enforcement would have actually given him a list of what he had to comply with on that property, I don't even think it would have ever come to a conversation about a P&Z meeting or trying to get it approved by the board for what he wants to do. Because I don't think no one's going to come in there and pour that kind of concrete or asphalt. Number two, I wouldn't think asphalt would be good enough for tractor trailers. They'd have to be concrete, so that kind of just, I don't even know why we're here for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? All right, if that is it, we're going to go ahead and close this public hearing. We will take a short recess and reconvene at 7:15 for regular scheduled meeting.
I actually lose it already.
Yeah, right. Hi, how are you? Good. Mine was so quick, I guess. Good.
Don't you even stop.
A new information came out of the church, they're looking for members in the choir.
I thought they were just looking for members. I was going to give them your name. I didn't have your phone number.
They know, they've got my phone number. What they're looking for is your voice.
No, they got
They're
him.
looking
I
for
said,
in the choir.
try to sit.
Start, just maybe do the early service, do all three of them.
No, no, no. Somebody see me get lonely, I have to sit in.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you that for a while.
So I tried to kind of keep a little profile.
Yeah, because as soon as you came in, I
Yeah, I was down there for the party last week, whatever.
oh, were you? We weren't. I don't know what we were doing, but we must have been busy. I was at home practicing. No, you can say it. See you in church Sunday?